All right, so I am presenting on the income in Wisconsin in 1995 compared to 2023. Okay, so null alternative hypothesis here. So my null was the average income from 1995 is equal to the average income in 2023 in Wisconsin, and then the alternative was the average income from 1995 is less than the average income in 2023. Okay, so from 1995, this is some background information. From 1995 to 2023, the dollar had an average inflation rate of 2.46% per year. And then in that 28-year period, there was about a 104% increase, which is a little example here. So $1 in 1995 would have the purchasing power of $2.04 in 2023. And then also has the average inflation rate kept up with that wealth growth. So here's some statistics from 1995. The blue numbers are like adjusted for inflation values. So, and I took the values from the 72 counties in Wisconsin off of St. Louis Fed or something. It was a website like that. Anyway, so average income in 1995 was $20,000, and adjusted for inflation, it's around $40,000. Median income was $19,400, and then standard deviation was 3,441. I got box and plot. So the max value, which was 34,000, max average, that was 4.12 standard deviations from the mean. And as you can see, it's a pretty spread out curve. It's pretty normal. Yeah. So 2023, it's a lot more. It's 60,000, which the predicted value would have been like 40,000. So it's much higher. And then also, it appears actually more of a standard curve, a normal curve than 1995. And then the max is 4.6 standard deviations, which is a half standard deviation more. So okay, this is income, just a few counties. So Chippewa County is right here. Eau Claire County is close to it. It's this pink one. And as you can see, it's all of them are very similar in their growth rate and everything. Okay, so next we have median sales price of houses. It's similar to this, also this income increase, but you can see a few spikes by like a little bit after recessions. But look at this spike is from 2022, and that was due to like high unemployment, so that workers were asking for higher wages, which increased the median sales price for houses. Okay, consumer price index, this is basically, it just shows how much more stuff costs. So 1982, that's where it like starts as 100, so like a carton of egg is like $2 in 1980, you know, and then in 2024, it would be $4.40. So that's just, then consumer price index for other variables like non-durables, durables, and services. Let's see, rent. So this lines up with this one, which is energy services, which increased the most. And I thought this was pretty interesting. Durables actually had a decrease rate there, and then that high unemployment spike also made everything go up. Then PCE, so this is personal consumer expenditures. Basically just shows like out-of-pocket spending for rural and urban families and incomes. And then conclusion, the average income in 1995, yeah, you know those. And then p-value, I got 0, z-score of negative 11.5, and then my z-interval was negative 23,244 to negative 16,475. And then so using a one-tail z-test, there's evidence at the 0.01 significance level to reject the null that the average income from 1995 is equal to the average income in 2023. And then another side note is it increased by 197.7% compared to the average inflation rate of 104%. So income has actually far exceeded the average inflation rate. So your income is more than what it would be if you made, the amount in 1985. I have a video, but we can just watch like the first little bit of it.
Check this out. I'm going to show you how I afforded this car. Okay, you ready? All right, 118.
Interesting stuff here. Very interesting stuff is going on with wage growth versus inflation growth. So it's like inflation goes up, it makes life more expensive. Gas goes up in price, comes down in price. But sometimes things at the grocery store go up in price and they don't come back. Milk went down. Remember they were talking about eggs for a long time 2 years ago being really expensive. And if you owned a dozen eggs, you were rich. And all those memes that went out about that. Well, other things at the grocery store and basic things have not come down. And that's an example of inflation is down, and they say, oh, it's great, energy is down. And it is great that energy is down. It is great that natural gas and gasoline and fuel oil prices are back down as we're in the middle of winter now here in the United States. And that takes a lot of pressure off of consumers, especially the Midwest and the Northeast. Northeast especially, a lot of cities back there still use fuel oil in their heaters. And so when that's up in price, it makes it very expensive, especially if people are tired of there. So some things come back down, which is good, but other things go up and don't come back down. Coffee and other things went up in price or still up in price, and that's permanent inflation effect. So on the other side, you're like, well, when do I get my raise, and does my income kind of follow that or chase it? Well, let's take a look. We're gonna pop up this first chart. This is average hourly earnings percent going up as represented by the blue line, and inflation represented by the orange line. And isn't it interesting, from 2016 to 2020, inflation stayed, 2% was a peak in 18, 19, end of 2020, and then we all know what happened at the very end of 2020, going through 2021, inflation went crazy. Everything went up. All the stuff I was just talking about went up, and it was very hard on Americans. Well, the other side of it was what happened to earnings. Well, during COVID, we had a spike in earnings. Remember, because we had a little bit of a shortage of labor, and so people were like going into their boss and saying, if you don't give me a raise, I'm going to work for this company because I can work from home, bring my dog to work. See what I did there? Your dog is already home. And go through all that, and there was a wage spike, and there was like a situation where people were demanding and getting sudden raises. So for part of 2020, we had this big spike in wages. But then we had, going end of 2021, we had wages not going up as people were coming back to work, work from home, suddenly became work from here, meaning your desk, and many companies started asking people to come back, 3 days, 4 days a week. You heard that from Disney, you heard it from Amazon, and hey, we want to check it out. We heard other people like Google saying, hey, we're using some systems to check on people to make sure you're actually working from home. But other people are saying, nah, all this stuff about productivity at home, maybe somebody is productive at home if they're just processing things, they're processing insurance policies. Okay, maybe you are more productive from home, maybe.